Sports Star. First pitch is 7:05. Go to samissions.com for tickets. Buyers Barricades is proud to provide traffic control, rental, and sales for work zones and events in the San Antonio area and beyond. Buyers Barricades, the Texas authority in barricade rental. Learn more online at buyersbarricades.com. That's buyersbarricades.com.
San Antonio's Sports Center.
Spurs officially introduced Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes in an introductory press conference today. We'll hear from them on Extra Innings. Spurs, who are 0-2 in the California Classic, look to get their first win of it as they close things out at 7 against the Chinese national team. That game will be televised on NBA TV.
This is Extra Innings with Pleasure.
Truth is, I am Iron Man.
Rock and roll! The Texans win it!
You've been called the Da Vinci of our time. What do you say to that?
Absolutely ridiculous. I don't paint.
That ball is history. A walk-off home run.
And it's going to be legendary.
James Pledger wraps your day with insight, opinion, plenty of sarcasm, and of course, your calls. He'll even pour a beer out the door for his favorite story of the day. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. Now, here's Pledge.
Welcome into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. And yes, we are back on the radio. Locked in on 94.1 on your FM dial. sasportstar.com if you're listening via our AA Best Bail Bonds audio player. Any of our fine apps, iHeart, Odyssey, and of course, to the fantastic people on our YouTube stream who knew where to go when the world ended during the Spectrum power outage. You go to YouTube, you hit SA Sports Star, you're able to like, follow, comment along with the show. And of course, you can always call into the show if you'd like at 210-656-3776. That's 210-656-ESPN. And I was having a conversation with a friend, noted Spurs fan and podcaster last night. And I finally think I understand Spurs fans. I understand in terms of the vitriol that y'all hold because y'all have never had to do this. You've never gone through it and you don't know how hard it is to crawl out of the bottom because legitimately every time you've ever hit the bottom, you bounced up to the top or near the top. You went to the bottom, you got David, you came right back up and were in the playoffs. You went to the bottom, got Tim, came right back up and won 5 championships and were great for 20 years. That's not how it happens. It especially, like those were one-offs. Dave gets hurt. Team was ready-made. Dave was hurt. Sean was hurt. They were dealing with injuries throughout the season, so they pulled the plug on the season and made sure they were down there for the lottery. As a team that lost to get David and bounced right back up to the top. This team in its entirety has never gone through a true rebuild in which Brian Wright and the Spurs, after holding on and making what you could from the Kawhi Leonard disaster with LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan and fighting to keep the 40-plus win seasons, the above 500, the playoff streak record. As you fought to hold on to win those records, you never truly made it to the bottom to get back up. But it's off one of the best chances to get the number 1 overall pick in Victor Wembanyama. You tore it down to the studs, and you've never truly had to do that. You got rid of everything. You got rid of DeJounte Murray. You got rid of Derek White. You got rid of every semblance of great players on this team in order to make sure you put yourself in that position to be able to go and get a Victor Wembanyama. It worked. You landed him, but you're left with the remnants of we have Victor Wembanyama and this team that we've made to be the worst in the NBA. And last year was a disaster because you're trying to experiment. For all those people that say Pop's old, the game's passed him by. No, he went from 4 down to the beautiful game, and he went from the beautiful game and attempted to play in this positionless league by transitioning Jeremy Sohan to point guard. Now, did that experiment last a little too long? Absolutely. But it is a man who is keeping up with the modern times of the NBA and how it's played and attempting to adjust his offensive philosophy to fit it. When it didn't work, he went back to a Trey Jones at point guard, and you saw a marked improvement as Trey Jones went into the point guard position. And now you see Devin Vassell finally learning how to play with the Victor Wembanyama. The team learning that Victor Wembanyama, whether he's a 3, a 4, a 5, he's a 5. His best position was 5. That's where he was best utilized. And all of those things contributed to last season's awful record, to which, by the way, as the season went on, continually kept getting better and better to the point where everything finally clicked and Victor Wembanyama started winning games without Sohan, Vassell, or Keldon down the stretch, with Mamu and Julian Champagnie and insert other Devontae Graham, because the light went off for Victor Wembanyama. And Zach Lowe of the Low Post podcast talked about how much better Victor Wembanyama is going to be just this upcoming season.
Just going to read you some numbers. The Spurs had a positive scoring margin when Wembanyama and Devin Vassell played together.
Mm-hmm.
The Spurs, the 22-win San Antonio Spurs.
Right.
The 22-win San Antonio Spurs were +4 per 100 possessions when Wembanyama and Trey Jones played together. That added up to +139 total points in like 1,300 minutes. The 22-win San Antonio Spurs were +9 points per 100 possessions when Wembanyama, Trey Jones, and Devin Vassell all played together.
Mm-hmm.
Wembanyama is going to be even better next year, perhaps by a lot, than he was as a rookie. If you put competent NBA players around this dude next year, this team is going to win 40 games. They might win 42. They might win 45. They might win 38. Mm-hmm. They're going to be in the playoff race if they want to be. And these moves suggest that, yeah, hey, we can develop and be in the playoffs at the same time. That's the Spurs and Spurs, A+ work by the Spurs.
ESPN's Zach Lowe on this Low Post podcast. And we've seen it just in when he played in his Olympic qualifier, how much the improvement continues to happen for Victor Wembanyama. And so you add a Chris Paul, you add a Harrison Barnes to a team that now you have a starting point guard that is better than Trey Jones. You have a starting small forward or power forward, depending where you want to slide him, who is better than Julian Champagnie. And now you have a starting lineup that resembles an NBA roster. And that alone is going to make you better. And Victor Wembanyama elevating his own play is going to make this team better. So you're not going to have the struggles of figuring out where to play Wemby to start the season. You're not going to have the struggles of truly transition into a point guard position. You're going to have a ready-made point guard. You're going to have a nearly 40% shooter from 3 playing off of Wemby on the outside, and you've got a 10-time all-defensive player in Chris Paul, a damn near a defensive player of the year in his rookie year in Victor Wembanyama, and a really good defender in Harrison Barnes, with up-and-coming defenders who have length to their game in Jeremy Sohan and Devin Vassell. This team is going to be much better next year. Are they going to be playing for an NBA title? No, but not many teams can go from being the worst team in the NBA to competing for a title in 1 year when you've basically undid your roster to get one of the most generational talents in 20 years. And the teams that do try and build a super team very quickly, at least in recent memory, have failed pretty spectacularly, whether it's Phoenix or Brooklyn, Philadelphia to an extent, who still hasn't made it to a conference final. These are all teams that tried to just throw talent together and hope it works. You need to find the right talent. Now, do I believe Lauri Markkanen is the right talent and a piece to add with? Absolutely. Do I think that the price may be too much of what Danny Ainge is asking for? Also, absolutely. Are they waiting for that price to possibly come down by the trade deadline or closer to the August 6th deadline for his contract? For sure. If the value doesn't match their perceived value for the player, they're not going to pull the trigger, and nor should they, because you've seen that the hole that trading for James Harden and Kevin Durant left the Brooklyn Nets, and now they're definitely trying to get everything back by trading away the Durants and stuff to make sure that they can be in a position to rebuild their roster. Because not only if you throw a bunch of pieces together and it doesn't work, are you screwed because your project failed, but now you also lack the draft capital moving forward once you've realized that project's failed to be able to capitalize on anything. Because your own picks don't belong to you, so it does you no good to bottom out. And if you are bad, you're just helping another team, not yourself. It is very important to make sure that you do things in a certain order, much like the Spurs had to do just by adding a CP3 and a Harrison Barnes. We knew CP3 had agreed. We knew the Barnes trade happened. They had to renounce some players. They had to trade a Devontae Graham, and they had to make moves in a certain order in order to bring those people in and have that press conference today. That's just the way the NBA works and with the way these new tax aprons work. So things have to happen in a certain order, and I'm not ruling out the fact that Lauri Markkanen might still be on the table. It's just going to have to happen in a certain order. We'll discuss this more along with Dak Prescott and the latest on his contract negotiations with Rob Thompson of the Morning Huddle as he joins me next right here on Extra Innings with Pleasure on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
San Antonio Sports Star.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6580. That's 800-583-6580.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Looking for a way to elevate your engine's performance? Start with Napa Full Synthetic Engine Oil. It provides faster oil flow for hot and cold temperature protection in the harshest driving conditions. Regular use can help your engine run cleaner and longer by defending against sludge and buildup, improving overall engine performance and fuel efficiency while increasing the time between oil changes. Make the switch without slowing down. Feed your ride Napa Full Synthetic Engine Oil. Available now at Napa locations nationwide.
Hi, everyone. Broadcaster and ER physician Dr. Jerry Punch here. We all know about the speed of sound, but have you ever thought about the sounds of speeding? If you drive over the speed limit, there are lots of sounds that you might hear. You could hear the sound of your vehicle crashing, the sound of first responders desperately trying to save you. You could even hear the sound of people crying at a funeral. Because if you drive over the speed limit, you could do damage that's beyond repair. One way or another, speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
Play ball! Missions fans, get ready to swing in action tonight at Wolf Stadium. It's AARP $2 Tuesday, presented by 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. First pitch is 7:05. Go to samissions.com for tickets.
Hormones can affect everything. Bad skin, bad hair, low energy, poor sleep, brain fogginess, libido, and weight gain. I'm Dr. Torres at the Institute for Functional Health, and we take a functional approach to your hormone problems. Eating right and exercise will not be beneficial without optimal hormone function. This goes for men and women. We do state-of-the-art testing to get to the root of your hormone issues and help you get well and stay well. I'm Dr. Torres at the Institute for Functional Health. We can help. 210-468-1891.
We're here with Jose Rios, attorney at the Gomez Law Firm. If you are injured in an accident or hit by a company vehicle, Jose, what's the first thing our listeners should do?
The first thing they should do is pick up the phone, call the Gomez Law Firm, or Google joegomezlaw.com.
Gomez Law has been protecting the people of our community for almost 50 years. They're the leader in personal injury law.
We do ride-sharing cases. We do carbon monoxide cases, 18-wheeler cases. Obviously, we've done those for very many years. Work injuries.
But that's not all your firm does, Jose. Tell us a little more about other cases Gomez Law takes on and wins here in Texas.
Really anything that involves a personal injury and a third party that is responsible for causing that injury, we will be happy to take a look at and see if we can help.
If you have been injured in an accident or hit by a company vehicle, then you need to visit joegomezlaw.com.
And remember, Gomez Law fights.
If you're looking for a new couch, you could cut down on expenses by bundling your car and renter's insurance with Progressive. Because you know you've had this couch for too long. Sure, you've had good times together, but a ripped-up cushion is not a fond memory. It's a sign. Notice how other people have couches with 2 armrests? Now that's living, right? No, it's just normal. So bundle your renters and car insurance with Progressive and put the savings toward a new couch. Please, it's time. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
This is Jim Rome. Join me weekdays at noon, 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I am James Pleasure. Johnny Football on Twitter saying, started at the bottom, now we here. And for this conversation, I'd like to bring in Rob Thompson of the Morning Huddle because he is a lifelong
I haven't quite
Spurs
made it
fan.
off the bottom, James. I'm still at the bottom, but I'm happy to join the
I
show.
live at the bottom. They call me a catfish. I live at the bottom.
Yeah, there's good food down here.
There's some muck down here that I'm not done playing with. But I started the show off talking about, because I had conversations with Spurs fans last night, and it's come to the realization, especially with Joe losing his mind recently on air, because he doesn't understand the Chris Paul signing and Harrison Barnes. They don't make as much sense to him. He wants them to throw the kitchen sink at going, I'm all for, but at the same time, there is a price that I will walk away from when it comes to that. But building a team in the NBA is hard, and the NBA is making it harder with these tax aprons. And the sheer fact of the matter is, Spurs fans have never had to actually go through an actual factual rebuild. Every time they've bottomed out, they've bounced back, gotten right into the postseason, and one time they bottomed out and won 5 titles. The Kawhi thing threw a huge wrench in the Spurs' plans, and they tried to hold on with LaMarcus and DeMar with their consecutive playoff streaks, and they ended up getting that. But it just kind of prolonged them being in the middle to where by the time they finally tore everything down to the studs the previous year to get Victor Wembanyama, well, now they had a Victor Wembanyama, but also a team around him that they tore down to the studs to make the worst team in the NBA. Building it back up from there isn't as simple and easy as inserting Tim Duncan around Terry Cummings and Sean Elliott and David Robinson and going off and winning a title.
That last guy, David, mattered a lot more than every other name you mentioned. And there is the Wemby, which makes this rebuild a whole lot easier. But I'm with you.
I mean, I understand the want and the need in the microwave society and such of needing to see improvement. But I do think Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes make this team better. The problem is the West is just a gauntlet.
Yeah, but this they're better, but they're not title worthy. Let's slow down just a second here. I think I get where Joe is, because no matter how long we have Wemby, it's going to be for a limited time, and it's not going to be for 20 years. So while we enjoyed a 20-year run, that's not coming. Even in your wildest dreams, you hope for 5 really good years in front of us. Now, we're not ready to begin those really good years, but in your wildest dreams, you hope for 10 years with one player. If you get any more than that, I mean, with anybody in this modern day and age. So I get that the clock is ticking. And I will say that the Lowry marketing thing ain't done because of the aprons and the contract structure. But I just want to set that aside. The Spurs are significantly better. Let's not kid ourselves. They didn't add a superhero, but they added a couple of guys that know how to win a whole bunch of basketball games. Now, they might not be physically able to do it by themselves or the way they used to, but they still know how to do it, and they certainly know how to show people how to do it. This team, as we sit, is 15 games better. As we sit, I mean, if nothing else happened, this team will win 37 to 40 games. Right now. So how good do you want to be and how fast? Because next year, and I hate to be part of the process, I hate it, that's a 4-letter word, but the process will conclude next year. Because I want you to consider what the draft looked like this year. A guy named Risa Shea went number 1. You're not going to hear from this cat for 2 years. He's so far from being ready to be an NBA basketball player. It's crazy. So next year's top 4 picks, maybe top 5, any one of those guys would have gone over this year's draft. So what we're looking at for last year's draft was a number 6 pick. That's what that was. And the Spurs have an opportunity to get 2 of these top 4 or 5 guys. I don't know how you manage this, because they're going to have to throttle this team. This is a team that if you screw it up and don't get into this lottery, that would be the mistake. So this is going to be a team that's going to have to throttle to make Joe feel better, and everybody else that's a little mad at bringing in a worn-out Chris Paul. Come trade deadline, there's going to be a lot of teams that want Chris Paul that will offer, if they see a title, and there's going to be somebody hanging out like a Minnesota that didn't expect to be where they are, and go, if we had a leading point guard, a guy that needs a title, they'll throw just about anything they got to get somebody like Chris Paul. Chris knows it. We know. Turn easily moved for nothing. The problem is the contract's so small, it might be a problem bringing back the kind of talent that might be thrown at us. So for all you Spurs fans, this is a 500 basketball team if they did nothing else already. Wemby's going to fall ass backwards into 10 more wins. So that you can just count those 10 and give 2 to Chris Paul and 3 because Devin Vassell's probably going to be an all-star because he's standing in next to Wemby. So add 15 wins to the roster, and we're right in the play-in realm. So I hope that Spurs throttle themselves and don't get into the damn playoffs. Look at the play-in, win all your national TV games like Adam and everybody else on Fifth Avenue wants. But at the end of the day, let's watch the playoffs and watch the ping pong balls bounce, baby, because there's a guy named Cooper Flagg. I can't say it enough. He is the most prepared big man to come into the NBA since Tim. I'll say it again, since Tim, and he's only 18 right now.
Well, he's 17, and he just embarrassed some
Is he
NBA
17?
All-Stars.
So you look at that and go, Lowry Markkanen and $150 million, or a couple of ping pong balls and 20. It's hard for me to gauge this because this team, if they did add Markkanen, would be. I know the NBA is a gauntlet, but there are teams that are on the rise and teams that are on the fall. And there's always a team that surprises in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Every year there's a team that, wow, that's sudden. We didn't expect it to be this fast. Spurs are primed for that, especially with Chris Paul and Harrison, the Harrisons.
If you added a Markkanen to the team as currently constructed, I could see this team being a top 4 or 5 team in the West.
Yeah, yes, but that's not really where the Spurs want to be now, nor later. And, why jump into the alligator pit now? I mean, let's kind of sit around on the edge and watch these guys take each other out because it's still going to be a bloodbath in the West. Phoenix is going to be back. They're going to be angry as all get out. Lakers are going one last swing. We know what Denver's capable of. Look at what's going on in New Orleans. Pay real close attention down there. That team's getting good. I think it's going to be a dogfight. So you want to go, just step aside, let the other team fight it out, look like you care, rope a dope for a while, and then take a knee.
My question is, if they are truly in the playoff hunt, how do you justify a Victor Wembanyama who's made it clear through multiple interviews he's about winning? Like, he didn't like last year at all.
Okay,
and
let me
if you trade away a Barnes or a Chris Paul at the trade deadline and you're in the thick of a playoff race, how do you justify that to a Victor Wembanyama?
To Victor, I just keep showing him tape of the top 5 guys. I keep showing him tape of Cooper Flagg. I keep showing him tape of the 3 point guards that are better than anybody that's running around this year or last.
And when you get the 8th pick?
And the 6th pick, and I have $50 million to spend, don't worry, Victor, it's going to be all right. Because if I don't do anything now and I trade away Harrison or Chris Paul, I have $40 million as I sit. We're going to be all right, baby. Now, and by this time, and I'll tell you another thing that we're going to be very mindful of. He's practicing and playing with the French team, and he's going to be playing for the next month and a half. He's going to get 2 weeks off, and he's going to start training camp. And you know what I mean? And by the time we're talking about this thing, it's going to be April, and Victor will have played a solid year of basketball. That big frame might need a break. So you could look at that as kind of like, well, we'll sacrifice a little bit of a short playoff run because that would be. We were sacrificing the 4 games because we'd get in as an 8th seed and get smoked by the 1st seed, by the 1 seed. So we'll sacrifice those 4 playoff games. The embarrassment might be occurring. Maybe that's a miracle 1 game for you to get that much more rest.
I understand, and just watching the way he finished last year and the way he's starting these Olympic qualifiers, you could tell the step has been taken, and we're going to see something special next year out of Victor Wembanyama just on an individual basis. But I look at this team as constructed and next season, and most importantly, that Atlanta 2025 pick keeps being to that pick. And I'm more concerned about perceived value versus actual value, right? Because the honesty is how valuable we know what the ultimate value of it could be, but what is the actual perception of it versus the reality of it? Because I don't know how you quantify Trey Jones, DeJounte Murray as the experiment. I view it as a failed experiment of two ball dominant guards that couldn't play off one another. So by unloading one of them makes that team better. In terms of, I've already seen Trey Young take a bad Atlanta team.
You think Atlanta's trying to make the playoffs next year? I don't care how good they get.
What benefit do they have in trying to lose? It only helps us.
Yes, but what does it matter? This is a lost ball and high weeds to them. They got to be bad. They've got to be bad. They've got to exit talent. There's no future there.
I just
they're starting over.
And maybe you can explain it to me, but why do they have to be bad?
Okay, now, you make a very valid point. And I think this is a discussion that has been made up there at that pretty new building, the Victory Capital Center. Yeah, you can't control Atlanta. You can't. I mean, they might get a wild hair. Trey Young might be the dude that we saw coming out of OU and light this team on fire late, and I'll be damned if they don't make the playoffs, especially in the East right now when there's only 3 teams, everybody else looking. Well, you know what they can control? Their pick. That's the one thing that is an absolute control, just like last year. That's not given to anybody. They get in the balls just like they did last year. So if we're headed toward the trade deadline and this team looks really good, one more reason to exit the guy that Joe Right-Angle doesn't want. Because that's the one thing they can control is Wemby can pull a David Robinson and get a bad back in January real easy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're concerned about Atlanta getting a wild hair and Trey Young getting nuts, which I can't imagine would happen, but stranger things, I guess, then you certainly don't want to let go of that pick either. And if Utah's sitting up there, they're asking for a first-round draft pick for Walker Kessler, who I agree is worth that. What are they asking for marketing? I mean, we're talking Mikal Bridges kind of stuff. So I'm not going to part with the thing that I can absolutely control. So there's 2 number ones that you pry out of my cold, dead hand until I know where I'm going to be with that Atlanta pick. And I'm not going to know until, All-Star break, till the trade deadline. So another reason, sit tight. I mean, you can control we had one flop. We got more cards to turn. Let's just keep throwing some money in, but just enough to stay in the game because, that's the one absolute thing that Brian Wright, who, by the way, has turned in a low-key brilliant offseason.
Very.
I mean, is playing chess, and I guarantee you the discussion has been had about Atlanta, maybe doing something nuts and landing a dude or doing something crazy to win enough games to get themselves to the playoffs, and they might just do it out of spite. Just to screw with the Spurs. Landry Fields is a Spur guy. Most of the former Spurs brats have gone through the Atlanta front office over the years. Malik was there for several. Landry's just another. And Ferry as well. So this is kind of a frenemies kind of thing. You're trying to poke your old boss, your mentor in the eye. And so it wouldn't surprise me if they did something harebrained to go just make sure the Spurs don't get the pick. So you can control yours, and Chicago, they're going to be in the lottery, even if they try something crazy.
Well, and the problem is that one's top 10 protected, I think.
That's what I'm saying. So they're going to be in the lottery. So that top 10 pick, you're not going to get that.
Oh, they're racing to the bottom with Brooklyn. Like they're both on a collision course to see who can get to the bottom faster.
So given the situation, you got some money in the bank. You've hired some player coaches to show up and play a couple times a week and help out the kids, show them the ropes. You got a healthy amount of money in the bank. That Lowry marketing deal really doesn't need to be discussed again until August, because that'll be that time when they can sign him, and you got that 6 months, which is the trade deadline. So you got plenty of time to percolate on that. You get to watch Stephen Castle play for the next week. And I think we're going to be so impressed with the way young Harrison has played that
be good. Let's talk about Harris. You know, I think he's going to surprise some people. I think there's no need to do much more unless there's a Godfather offer that just shows up at their front door.
He is Rob Thompson of the Morning Huddle. Catch him and AJ Hoffman every weekday morning from 6 to 10. I want to leave you on this. Dak Prescott spoke at his camp. He spoke about the walking boot and everything, but I thought the most important thing he talked about was where they are with his contract negotiations, because last we heard there wasn't a lot of conversations, but that may have changed.
Yeah, I mean, there's been conversations back and forth, but for the most part, for me, as y'all know, I've been letting my agent do that, especially as we get right here into training camp. Day one of training camp, my mind flips to just obviously helping my team and just doing everything I can within the organization and on the football field to make sure that I'm my best and everyone around me is their best, and the money and all that will take care of itself as it always has.
What do you take from that, Rob? Now that they're having conversations back and forth.
I think the conversation was his agency's CAA, right?
Yes, Todd France, CAA.
So his agent, this was the conversation. Grabbed a headline that said Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow are tied for $55 million, and faxed that to the Cowboys. That was the discussion. I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, how we're going to deposit the hundreds of millions of dollars? I mean, the conversation was one-sided. It might have been a text. Did you see this?
He forwarded Adam Schefter's tweet to him.
Just forward the tweet. You want to talk about negotiations? Adam's doing it for me. We start at 55. Okay, so unless you have anything more than 55, I'll assume you're thinking about it. In all seriousness, this is what, if he doesn't have a deal by his birthday, if he doesn't have a deal by the time the Blitz goes off the air, while we're sitting in Oxnard on his birthday, which is, I don't know, for that Thursday we're there. I don't know the exact date. I know we're always there. He's not going to get a contract.
Whew. And that is a very, very, it's going to be a very divisive thing if it happens, in terms of the darkness that awaits versus the happiness that will be in the current for a lot of people that are willing to escort him.
James, what would you do if you were Dak? I'm not going to sign anything, even for 2 years, that's going to sell me short.
No.
I know that if I have a pulse,
my starting point's 56 if I'm Dak.
Yes, and I know that if I have a pulse, the moment the season's over, I'm going to make 60. I mean, literally, if I have a pulse, I will make $60 million a year for 5 years. If I just got to make it. What would you do if you were Dak? I wouldn't touch or talk about crap. I mean, what? There's nothing to be gained by this.
Nothing.
So when the discussions are going to be one-sided, and as long as quarterbacks keep getting new contracts, the discussion begins with that plus $1 million, or like you said. So I just don't see Jerry flinching. He's let guys go and hold out and let things pass. He's seen what happened to other players that did this kind of crap, that held out. So he knows Dak's going to show up and play, because he too wants to make $60 million. But I will tell you this, if we're halfway through the season, Dak doesn't have a contract, Cowboys are hovering around 500 or less, get ready to see number 19 running around out there. I'll tell you that. Dak won't finish the season.
He is Rob Thompson of the Morning Huddle. Him and AJ Hoffman kick off your morning every weekday morning from 6 to 10 right here on San Antonio Sports Star 94.1 FM, as we are back on 94.1 FM as of 4:30 this afternoon.
This is a real radio show.
This is
Not
a real one.
radio show?
We did half of a real one today.
You know, that Blitz show, that's just the internet show now, right?
Well, it was, at least for the first part of it today.
Wow, what an unfortunate afternoon. So many people suffered today. Spectrum's going to be called in front of the man. They're going to look like Southwest Airlines before we know it.
All I know is my TV better work by the time I get home.
Oh, you haven't seen the Game of Thrones?
I
haven't seen the latest? Oh, my goodness. It's not since the Battle of the Bastards.
Oh, really? That good?
Worth a look-see.
He is Rob Thompson. Rob, thanks so much for joining me this afternoon. That's right. Spurs versus China, even though, the Spurs are known for having a bunch of European guys on the roster.
Not the Chinese. Well, not since Mick Batir.
Rob Thompson joins us via the Buyers Barricades guest line, as all our guests do. Buyers Barricades provides traffic rental control and sales for San Antonio and beyond. Catch them online at buyersbarricades.com. More from the Dak Prescott thing and what I think it really means as we head into training camp here in 20 days. Coming up next here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star, sasportstar.com, and on YouTube at SA Sports Star.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Granger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
TSAOG Orthopedics and Spine is excited to announce a partnership that is revolutionizing access to care for orthopedic patients. The HURT app provides free 24/7 access to orthopedic expertise. HURT is the app to have before you need it. Don't wait for an injury to happen. Download HURT now for free, fast virtual access to orthopedic specialists. The HURT app is available online in the App Store and Google Play. Learn more about the HURT app and the OrthoNow Injury Clinic at TSAOG.com.
Hi, this is Joe Reinagle for my friends at Stevens Roofing, your local roofer. You know, summer is here, and that means long, hot days for everyone and everything, including your roof. Our hot Texas sun pounding down can degrade and age your roof. So for residential or commercial service, you need a reliable roofer you can trust and afford. That's Stevens Roofing. Online at stevensroofing.net or call them at 210-785-0994. That's 210-785-0994 for Stevens Roofing.
With T-Mobile, you can get tons of benefits and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. Because nobody likes having to choose. It's like getting romance and sci-fi.
Jane, I love you. Also, I'm a robot.
Or being a dog person and a cat person.
Who wants a treat? Who's your good boy?
Or like being an extrovert and an introvert.
Woo! This is so fun! I can't wait to go home.
At T-Mobile, you don't have to choose. You can get the benefits you want and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. See how much you can save with our savings calculator at T-Mobile.com/switch. Plus, when you switch, you can keep your phone and we'll pay it off up to $800.
Via virtual prepaid card in 15 days. Qualifying unlocked device, credit, service, and timely redemption required. Card has no cash access and expires in 6 months. See T-Mobile.com.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-606-8737. 800-606-8737. 800-606-8737.
Dive into the Marvel Universe on the official Marvel Podcast. We're going behind the scenes with the creators behind Marvel Comics, the stars of the MCU, and Marvel Studios' Kevin Feige.
But if you want the real answer, if we're trying to get real on this podcast,
Marvel adventures and characters. The official Marvel podcast.
I think this show's going to be a real treat.
New episodes every Wednesday wherever you listen to podcasts.
Lowe's knows owning a project means owning the right tools. And during Craftsman Days, you can save big on what you need from a brand you trust. Get a free Select V20 tool when you buy a Select Battery 2-pack. Plus, get your choice of the V20 string trimmer or leaf blower for only $99. Find these savings and more today. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 7/10 while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
All right, when it comes to getting life insurance for your family, a lot of excuses can get in the way. But ask yourself this: if something were to happen to me, who would pay the mortgage, the kids' education, and the other bills? Then forget the excuses and check out Ethos Life, the online, easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes. Ethos has rates that you can afford, like a $500,000 policy for a 40-year-old male starting at $1 a day or $30 a month, with a few health questions and no medical exam. Get your free quote right now at checkethos.com. That's checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Rates do vary.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Granger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
GiveMeTheVin.com salutes one great trip. American psychedelic rock band The Grateful Dead performed their very last concert at Soldier Field in Chicago on this day in 1995. Also on this day, Give Me the Vin bought a customer's groovy 1974 Volkswagen microbus, proving once again that Give Me the Vin will give you top dollar for your classics and collectibles, man.
Sell us your car. GiveMeTheVin.com. So easy you can do it in your underwear.
This is Andrew Monaco, and the Aggies play here. 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure right here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I appreciate everybody for rolling through this evening. However you may be listening, it's much appreciated. Dak Prescott spoke at his camp, and he spoke about the walking boot, which a lot of not to do about a lot, but he did say something about his contract negotiations, and I took two things out of what he said, and I'll let you hear what he said again real quick after talking with Rob and playing it for him. But Dak talked about the latest on where he stands with his contract at his quarterback's camp.
Yeah, I mean, there's been conversations back and forth, but for the most part, for me, as y'all know, I'm gonna let my agent do that, especially as we get right here into training camp. Day one of training camp, my mind flips to just obviously helping my team and just doing everything I can within the organization and on the football field to make sure that I'm my best and everyone around me is their best, and the money and all that will take care of itself as it always has.
So the two things I took out of that were, A, conversations are happening back and forth in a manner right now. So that is good news, because there have been points in times where it seemed like there was little to no communication, and Dak was getting a little bit frustrated by that. The other thing I take away from that is going to camp, getting right. Unlike CeeDee Lamb, you don't have to worry about Dak Prescott holding out in training camp to force the Cowboys to give him a deal. And if he's not willing to exert that power, maybe that means they are closer than you think on a new deal. And I also think in terms of Dak's deal means a great deal in terms of CD getting his deal this year, this offseason, because CD will likely be missing training camp if he doesn't get a new deal. Dak getting a deal because the Cowboys are so up against the cap, and part of that is because of Dak's cap number. It is nearly $60 million. If you get him a new deal, you get him a signing bonus, you can spread that money out. Dak's deal lowers the cap number for the Cowboys, which will then allow them to go and sign CeeDee Lamb to a long-term make that work into the future. That's a very important detail, is the order in which this has to happen. And I think Dak has to happen first, because Dak can open up the most amount of money by getting a deal done. It can lower the cap number substantially, more so than CeeDee Lamb going from 17 million to whatever to make the numbers work when you spread it out, because he's still going to be at about 32 to 35 million dollars. But Dak coming down from 60 million to likely closer to 45, 40, whatever, after you spread out the bonus and everything into the later years, opens up a lot more money to be able to get CeeDee Lamb's contract done. So I think Dak is a very important domino that has to fall in terms of how the Cowboys want to get all of these contracts done. This is Extra Innings with Pledger. I am James Pledger right here on San Antonio Sports Star. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll put a bow on the show with talking about a potential new NFL schedule and how it could be so perfectly beautiful for everybody involved. Joe Burrow may have come up with the absolute best way to extend the NFL schedule to where we get the Monday following the Super Bowl off. I'll explain, or better yet, I'll let Joe Burrow explain, coming up next right here on Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
94.1 San Antonio Sports Star.
With Progressive's Home Quote Explorer, you can check if you're paying too much for home insurance, because giving you options is the right thing to do.
Oh, you mean like when I let someone with less groceries go ahead in line? Sure, there's a part of me that thinks, if you only need 3 things, maybe go to a convenience store next time. And now they're sifting through coupons and my frozen foods are about to be not frozen.
But still, it's the right thing to do. So compare rates with Progressive's Home Quote Explorer. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very
calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Play ball! Missions fans, get ready to swing in action tonight at Wolf Stadium. It's AARP $2 Tuesday, presented by 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. First pitch is 7:05. Go to samissions.com for tickets.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health San Antonio will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 210-615-7777. That's 210-615-7777. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
Hi, my name's Jason Thompson. I've lived in San Antonio for more than 50 years. Went to grade school, high school, and graduated from law school right here. San Antonians have trusted me as their attorney after serious injury and fatality collisions since 1994. My website is alawyerforus.com. Why a lawyer for us? Well, after several years of practice, I watched as insurance companies created their own law firms solely to defend against auto claims. Today, there are very few insurance companies that do not have their own captive law firm filled with attorneys whose job is to minimize what the insurance company has to pay on an auto claim. If you or a family member is injured in a traffic collision, For many lawyers you see on billboards, your case will be handled by a non-lawyer or a staff lawyer. If you call me, Jason Thompson, I will be the lawyer you speak with. The initial consultation is always free. If you are a family member and needs an experienced attorney you can trust, I want you to call me, Jason Thompson. My number is 900-0400. That's 210-900-0400 or alawyer4us.com.
It's Extra Innings with Pledger on 94.1 San Antonio's Sports Star.
Welcome back into Extra Innings with Pleasure here on San Antonio Sports Star, 94.1 FM, sasportstar.com. I appreciate y'all for joining me this evening. I think while Joe Burrow, as Fred Records points out, wearing that backless sports coat in Paris at the fashion show, still getting roasted for it. Sure, like, to each their own fashion sense. I have my own fashion sense that is also questioned by people around the station a lot of the times, but it is mine. And fashion is very look good, feel good, play good kind of mentality. You wear what you think looks good on you and what makes you feel confident. If Joe Burrow felt confident in that, good on him. Not my cup of tea, but I think he may have fixed the NFL when it comes to an 18-game schedule and giving us the perfect ending to a season, as he was on Part of My Take explaining what it would take for the NFL to get to an 18-game season.
What do you think the perfect football schedule is in terms of weeks and bye weeks?
How many games are we playing?
You tell me.
18.
18. Got to have 2 bye weeks.
I like
and I
that.
think it'd be cool to do a normal bye week schedule that it is now. Like, have it spread out. But then, like, week 13, do, like, the Pro Bowl break, where you're doing, like, the 7-on-7 and all the skills challenges like the NBA does, because I think that would get more ratings for the Pro Bowl.
Yes.
And then it would also give everybody that bye week going into, like, the last 6 games of the year.
My big idea is, especially now with the expanded college football playoff, you do the week before Christmas, no NFL, college football playoffs, give everyone a break to go do their shopping.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah, and then you get everyone reset. The whole league is on a level playing field for the
and then you have
stretch.
guys that are injured that would be able to potentially come back, and you want your best players out there as a league. You want them in the last 6 weeks of the season. You want your best players on the field. So I think that would be a smart idea.
I think we fixed football, and then you get the President's Day Monday after the Super Bowl off.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah,
when would that Super Bowl then fall? Because that would be a challenge, but that would be perfect.
Perfect.
That would be perfect. And we've talked about moving the Super Bowl to that weekend by adding an 18th game and a second bye week. I think you can get there, which would be absolutely brilliant for the NFL in terms of giving us all what we want, which is more football, more meaningful games, and moving that Super Bowl to a weekend that gives us the Monday after the Super Bowl off from our jobs, to where we can all just have a long weekend that involves recovery from the Super Bowl the next day. This is Extra Innings with Pleasure. I appreciate y'all for rolling through with me this evening. We'll be back tomorrow coming up at 8 o'clock. Don't forget, we got Rangers-Angels game 2, as the Rangers have now won 4 straight as they try and crawl back up the standings. We'll see y'all tomorrow. This is Extra Innings.
Hi, this is Joe Reinagle from my friends at Stevens Roofing, your local roofer. You know, summer is here, and that means long, hot days for everyone and everything, including your roof. Our hot Texas sun pounding down can degrade and age your roof. So for residential or commercial service, you need a reliable roofer you can trust and afford. That's Stevens Roofing.